Hello everyone, here we have another modelled writing lesson for a Task 2 question. Again, it's in a more of a live environment, so there'll be less editing and you'll be watching me going through the whole writing process. So before we move on to take a look at our Task 2 question, let's quickly remind ourselves what features we need to include in our essay. So, I need to include a 3-sentence introduction. I'm going to need 2 support paragraphs and a conclusion. In the conclusion, there may or may not be an opinion sentence. There needs to be some clear ordering and structure in my writing. So that's really thinking about my organisation. I need to include some examples too. And then for vocabulary and grammar, some topic-specific vocabulary. Sentence openers, make them interesting, and a mix of sentence types. That's simple, compound, complex sentences, which we covered in the earlier grammar lesson in this section of the course. Okay, so I've just gone over my features checklist just to refresh my memory about what I need to include in my writing. So let's move ahead and take a look at the question. So here is our question. Let's have a read through and think about what type of question this is. Many students now work whilst they are studying in college or university. This often results in them having less time to concentrate on their studies as well as feeling under pressure. What are some of the causes of this? What solutions could you suggest? Okay, so we've had a read through the question. Before we move on to writing the plan, let's think about what kind of question this is. So you can see the last 2 sentences I've actually highlighted in italics. What are some of the causes of this? What solutions could you suggest? So just from these 2 sentences, I can tell that this is a problem-solution question. I need to identify what problems there are featured in the question, and I need to suggest some ways to fix or find solutions for this problem. So that's quite straightforward. I'm going to move on to writing my plan now, which is simply going to be a quick outlay, a quick outline of what I will be doing in each body paragraph. Let's just look back to the question. So many students are working while studying for a college or university, and it results in less time for concentrating on studies as well as making them feel under pressure or stressed. So why are students doing this? What kind of solutions can I suggest? So why are students working when they should be studying? I think the obvious answer to that is quite simply for money. So if we say financial reasons for working, so we could say loans, accommodation. And here I need to suggest a solution. So what can I say for the solution? You could say free grants, free government grants. So the government giving students money whilst they are studying. Free government grants, so we could say free government grants. We could also say subsidised accommodation. Okay, it's changed it to the American spelling, but that's okay. Subsidised accommodation. Okay, a free government grant, subsidised accommodation. So in my first paragraph, I'm going to talk about the financial reasons for student wanting to earn money while studying, which is probably the main reason, I'm sure. And my solution is for governments to give free grants or to subsidise accommodation. Subsidise means to provide something for a very small price. So it may be that the government supply student accommodation for 20% of the normal price. This is what I'll talk about in this paragraph. And the other idea that comes to mind for my second body paragraph is to talk about a work experience. So it may be that students are trying to get work experience before finishing their studies, which will make it easier for students to find employment. So let's say for work experience, and the solution for this problem of sort of working while studying could be to offer work experience in courses. And here I'll say sandwich course. So this is a bit of topic-specific vocabulary. A sandwich course is generally considered academic and work experience. For example, a 4-year sandwich course may be 3 years studying and 1 year work experience. These kind of courses generally take away some of the problems of students working while studying. Okay, so let's have a read through. Paragraph 1, financial reasons for working. Maybe they're paying off loans or accommodation. And how can I solve this problem of students needing money and working while studying? I've suggested that governments could give grants or subsidise accommodation to help them financially. And for my second paragraph, I'm suggesting that a cause for students needing to work while studying is for work experience. And I suggested my solution is to offer work experience in courses. So try and push this idea of more sandwich courses to try and help students concentrate more on their studies. Okay, so that is my plan complete. I feel quite confident now that I understand the question and I know what I will be writing. Now, you may remember that in our support or body paragraphs for a problem solution question, the sentence types that we need to use are slightly different, and we covered this a few lessons ago in this section of the course. So I think it would be wise to go over that now. Let's take a look just to refresh our memory. So supporting paragraphs for a problem solution type question. We still have topic sentence, support sentence, but if you remember, we also need to include a solution sentence and a result sentence. This was obviously covered a few lessons ago. If you need, please go back and refresh your memory more. But effectively, each supporting paragraph can be 4 sentences long, or you might want to add a little bit more detail to these sentences to make sure you're hitting the word count. But when I write my essay now for this student working question, I'm going to write 4 sentences for each supporting paragraph. So topic sentence, support sentence, solution sentence, and result sentence. So let's move on to writing this report. Okay, so let's begin with our 3-sentence introduction. So the first sentence in the introduction wants to be a paraphrase of the question. Many students now work whilst they are studying in college or university. This often results in them having less time to concentrate on their studies as well as feeling under pressure. So I need to get that into one sentence and paraphrase as best as I can to introduce the problem and the essay. I might begin with increasingly, students are having to work while studying, meaning they are unable to concentrate. What synonym can I think of here? Focus, meaning they are unable to focus fully on their studies, on their learning, let's say, on their learning. Okay, so that's pretty much the problem. Increasingly, students are having to work while studying, meaning they are unable to focus fully on their learning. And And we've got an interesting sentence type here. It seems to be a complex sentence. Okay, so we now need to write our plan. So we can start this as always. In this essay, I will discuss this rising problem and suggest solutions. You could in fact use this in every single problem solution essay. You can copy this pretty much straight into any problem solution essay. And now I need to say exactly what I will be doing in this essay. So we begin our outline with, firstly, I will explore, instead of discuss, why students, I will explore the financial implications for students needing to find employment whilst working. Now, instead of just saying for students needing to work, I wanted to try and vary and make my language more interesting. So instead of just students needing to find work, I decided employment. So I'm using a mix of language in my essay. Firstly, I will explore the financial implications for students needing to find employment whilst working. And secondly, I will discuss how work experience may influence their decision to work. Okay, so let's have a quick read through. Increasingly, students are having to work while studying, meaning they are unable to focus fully on their learning. In this essay, I will discuss this rising problem and suggest solutions. Firstly, I will explore the financial implications for students needing to find employment whilst working. And I've realised I've said whilst working, so whilst studying. That highlights it's quite important to try and quickly read back your writing, which I would definitely recommend you do. And secondly, I will discuss how work experience may influence their decision to work. So I think that's a very strong 3-sentence introduction. So I can now move on to my support paragraph. So from the plan, we were starting off to discuss in the first paragraph about the financial reasons for students needing to work. It is true that education can be very expensive for students needing further education. That's my topic sentence. So I'm talking about the expense, the financial implications, and I need a support sentence here. Let's say, as a result of needing money for student finance. I'm using some topic-specific vocabulary. This is a collocation, student finance and living expenses. As a result of needing money for student finance and living expenses, many, and I need a synonym now for student as I feel like I'm repeating student too often. Let's use undergraduates. That's more specifically for universities, but again, topic-specific vocabulary. As a result of needing money for student finance and living expenses, many undergraduates are needing to find new revenue. Let's not say new revenue, that sounds strange. I'm needing to find work. Let's just say find work. Okay, now I need my solution sentence so I can suggest what solutions can be created to solve this problem. Let's begin with one solution. One solution to this problem could be local governments funding students with free grants and subsidized accommodation. And then I need to say what the result is, so it's my result sentence. As a result of this added support, students would feel less stressed and worried about needing to finance their learning journey, or their learning and studying, which may also lead to higher scores in their studies. Okay, so I'll quickly read this back. It is true that education can be very expensive for students needing further education. I feel like I'm repeating myself a little bit there, so I'm going to say for students needing further studies. As a result of needing money for student finance and living expenses, many undergraduates are needing to find work. One solution to this problem could be local governments funding students with free grants and subsidized accommodation. As a result of this added support, students would feel less stressed and worried about needing to finance their learning and studying, which may also lead to higher scores in their studies. Okay, so that's my first paragraph complete. I now will move on to speaking about work experience. So students wanting to work to gain real life experience, which will obviously help them when they finish their studies. Let me begin. So another cause for students working whilst attending, let's say, academic institutions, is to gain real life work experience, to help find employment post studies. Okay, that's my topic sentence. So one of the causes is work experience. So let's add my support sentence. We can say an opener. Let's get an interesting opener. Consequently, many students are concentrating on finding desired work experience and not focusing their energies on studies and learning. Consequently, many students are concentrating on finding desired work experience and not focusing their energies on studies and learning. Okay, and I now need a solution for this. And you remember from my plan, I was suggesting sandwich courses. One suggested solution to this issue could be to offer more sandwich courses, which include an amount of in-house, which means at an office or workplace, amount of in-house working experience. And we'll now move on to our result sentence. So let's begin with, this would have a beneficial impact on student attainment. So that is a great piece of topic-specific vocabulary for education. Attainment means how well you score in your learning. For example, if student attainment was high, it meant that many students were passing. So this would have a beneficial impact on student attainment as my connective, as learners could focus on their courses at all times. Okay, so let's read this back. Another cause for students working whilst attending academic institutions is to gain real-life work experience to help find employment post-studies, after studies. Consequently, many students are concentrating on finding desired work experience and not focusing their energies on studies and learning. One suggested solution to this issue could be to offer more sandwich courses, which include an amount of in-house working experience. This would have a beneficial impact, a great collocation there, on student attainment, some really good topic-specific vocabulary, as learners could focus on their courses at all times. Okay, my support paragraphs are complete, so it's now time to go to my conclusion, which is not going to include my opinion, so I just need to paraphrase this issue and everything that I've discussed in one sentence here. Let's begin with, in conclusion, a great way to start your conclusion paragraph. In conclusion, we can see that this is a difficult issue for people wanting to study, as the need to work is obviously high, with many different reasons for needing employment. That kind of just sums up the whole issue in one sentence. In conclusion, we can see that this is a difficult issue for people wanting to study, as the need to work is obviously high, with many different reasons for needing employment. So that's my conclusion in one sentence. That's a report in full. That's my essay, my Task-2 essay in full. Let's quickly go through the features checklist. So 3-sentence introduction is there. 2 support paragraphs. Yes, we have them. Conclusion, definitely. A clear ordering. Now, I made the plan, which made me concentrate on one problem and solution for each paragraph. So that's definitely well structured thanks to my plan. Examples. Yes, I give lots of examples about who could solve problems and how these solutions would help students. So I'm giving lots of examples. Topic-specific vocabulary. Yes, we said that we've included some really good topic-specific vocabulary. Sentence openers. In conclusion, another cause. It is true, increasingly. Definitely we have this. And a mix of sentence types. Definitely I have some simple sentences, I think, somewhere, and lots of compound and complex sentences. So I know that I've included these sort of core features in my essay. Yes, that brings us to the end of this modelled writing lesson. I hope that you found it useful. See you in the next lesson.